Good morning. This is Ken at tortoisecapital.net. We're privileged this morning to listen to about 15 minutes of insight from Duke, one of our traders, who's going to share some ideas about his adaptation and application of tortoise-style trading concepts. I want to point out some key areas of interest, how he takes responsibility for his results and developing the process, how easily, freely, and regularly he collaborates with his working group, the positive attitude that he has towards the learning process, combined with a healthy sense of risk and reward to keep himself on track, and the way that he anticipates, integrates, and simplifies his processes so that it's very practical. You can see my point of contact information there for more info, and thank you very much, and good trading.
Hey everyone, my name is Duke Mendinueto, and Ken asked me to just make a quick video on the Frogbox spreadsheet that I use today to help me with my Frogbox Disney trade. And so here the spreadsheet is taken from the Tortoise Capital website that my study group and I have tweaked into making it reflect closer to Ken's daily report that he sends out. And so Michael Nestor added some of these mechanical swing systems in there so we could see it. One of the reasons was because some of us would receive the daily report at different times, sometimes later in the day, sometimes really late or early in the morning, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And it didn't work with our schedules in effectively planning out our plan for the next trading day. And so at least in this case, as soon as market closes, we get the feed from XLQ, which gives us all this data here, and we're good to go for the rest of the day in terms of planning what we want to focus on and what we want to trade, what setups are there, and the auto framer and stuff like that. And so for me, I have been focusing on these stock tickers here in regards to daily moves for swings and day trades. And specifically, I've been contemplating building this Frogbox into it because I'm learning how to use these Frogbox trades, like the hybrid frog, the quick frog, the slow frog. I'm still getting the hang of it. I'm still very new to the concept. And so what I had been doing was I would wait for the open and then get the opening price of a particular ticker, get a calculator, add plus or minus one Frogbox standard deviation just to get the hybrid frog. And by the time I have that, those numbers, I try to, put that into the chart so I could physically see it. And by the time I probably finish that, the move's already like way in advance. And so it's really slow and very time consuming to do that. I was like, I gotta figure out a way to put this into our spreadsheet that Ken provides that we're using as a daily report. And so the thing with this was I'm not too familiar with Excel, only because majority of my experience was using Google Sheets. And so I didn't know how to add cells or columns. So I just had to right click and do insert, and that would add a column here. So I kind of just put it to the left of this Frog SD column just so I can see this. This is where I want to focus on as soon as I open up this chart. It's not somewhere all the way to the right or to the left. It's like right here. And so That way I have all the Frogbox levels. Now, the other thing too was adding the live feed for the opening price. And so here, I took this column because I wanted plus or minus 5 levels to see. So I put it right smack in the middle. That way I can kind of visually see a hybrid Frogbox here. And so the open, the formula for the open is, as you can see here, over on this side is equal XLQ open and parentheses the column for the ticker. So in this case, S361 is equal to this ticker here, which is AXP for American Express. And so once you have the formula put in, you can just highlight that cell and then drag it down all the way, and then it'll consecutively copy that same formula with the corresponding cells in place. And so I have that, all the opens for all these ticker symbols that my study group wants to look at, just because, you know, we wanted to see more more setups than what's provided in the daily chart. I'm not saying that I use all these. These are just, you know, food for thought. But anyway, regardless, that's how I got the opening price live feed into the spreadsheet. And then from there, it's just simple math in terms of adding plus or minus Frogbox levels. So let's take a look at column with the +1 Frogbox. So I just took the opening price, which is this, and I added 1 Frogbox level. And that gives you that, which is 101.03. For the second one, I took the opening price and I added 2 Frogbox levels. So it's 2 times this cell. And so forth. So I did that up to 5 Frogbox levels, and then I did the same for minus Frogbox levels. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. The reason why I wanted to look at 5 levels was because the past few weeks when I was trading EWZ in particular, I noticed that it would have these moves where it would open and it would either go down, you know, more than 3 levels, or go up more than 3 levels. And so I just wanted to see 5 levels, just for reference. And so that's how I use this. And so for today, at the open, I actually built this last night. I stayed up last night, you know, only got 3 hours of sleep just so I could figure out how to put the open in here. And then from there, just build this out. And because I wanted to try it out, to test run it. So today's Disney trade was actually a test run of using this spreadsheet to help me with trading the hybrid frog. And so obviously this is still in the early stages. Glenn from the chat room offered some advice on tweaking this through conditional formatting, where it would give me a color indication when this Frogbox level hits, or this Frogbox level hits, or this Frogbox level. So that way I don't have to go back and forth with looking at the spreadsheet and then looking at the chart. I could just look at the spreadsheet. When something lights up, then I'll just go to that ticker and enter a trade. So that's the next stage of this, and that's something that my study group and I are going to work on this weekend. And so for this morning, I had this running. I waited for the opening prices to populate. Now, the one thing I noticed about the opening prices is that you'll get a number here for the opening price, but later on in the day, you'll see that the opening price gets adjusted. This one in particular, Disney, I'm seeing that Disney actually opened at 106.72. But this is the number that I really got in the morning, 106.45. So every now and then you'll get a ticker that adjusts its opening price. I just stick with what's here because that's really what you're using in the first 30 minutes of the day anyway. So so let's take a look at Disney, the Disney chart. So I had this fired up opening at the open, and I saw Disney at 107. Let's go to Disney here. So let's zoom into the open. I saw Disney at 107 as I was scanning the spreadsheets and looking at the charts. And so here was 107. I didn't have these lines yet. So what I do is once I have a target, I build this out. So instead of me building out a box, I just do horizontal lines just to make it much faster. So white line indicates the open, and each corresponding yellow line represents one frog box level. So the first yellow line is +1, the second yellow line is +2, and the third yellow line is +3. So this actually went 3 frog box levels within the first 15 minutes of the day. And so this was the move that I captured from here to here. And there was I was a little late in the entry. I got in around 107.45 only because, you know, going back and forth from the spreadsheet to the chart and seeing it happen and then entering the trade, that took some time. And so I got in and then I got out here, which was, I saw that it moved 1 frog box level above, and usually when that happens, the frog box level is something I'm still learning, but I'm noticing that when it hits 1 frog box level, it guns for the next one. And once it passes 1 frog box level, a lot of times this frog box level acts as support, and then it pushes it through to the next frog box level. That's just something that I noticed. I'm not sure how factual that is, but that's something that I'm investigating. And so that's how this trade happened this morning. And one of my main reasons why I cut this trade here was, as I discussed in the chat room, was one, I lost the will to hold to this trade because of the capture that I had. I actually met my daily goal for the day, and so I was like, you know what, let me just cut this trade, take the profits, and then I'm done for the day. You know, focus on other things. And so, I mean, if I held for 1 minute through this down bar, you know, would have got this capture, which Bob and Ken had emailed me later on in the day. Like, there was this action here with the MACD crossover that was signifying that this trend could potentially be ending. And I could have held a little bit longer because here the MACD was still rising. Could have held a little bit longer here and cut it around somewhere here in the second frog box level. So I had this belief that, you know, that second frog box level was, the price was going to try to get there, but I didn't believe it enough that I cut early. But at the same time, I met my daily quota and I was happy with that. Let's take a look at some other tickers with frog box levels that I wanted to talk about. Here, EWZ. Let's go to today. So EWZ opened here. Let's see. And so this is what I was talking about in regards to the frog box levels. It opened here with the frog box of 44, but it took most of the day to reach 1 frog box level down from the open. But once it hit that, it took this sharp turn down to the next frog box level, and then it targeted the next one after. Let's look at JPM. JPM probably was getting hit because of the interest rate hike from the Feds yesterday, and so that's something that I'm looking at. Financials. So this one opened at 1:10:28, and then this one actually counts as a hybrid frog trade early in the morning. Within the first 30 minutes, it hits the first frog box level down. So you can enter here, and then it goes to the next frog box level. I personally am still new to trading frog box, hybrid frog box, quick frog, slow frog, etc. And so I'm still trying to get used to figuring out how to hold through these. I know Ken has some mechanical rules in place in terms of trailing half a frog, and your initial stop is one frog box. And so, but I'm still in that fast trader zone where I'm still trading these RLCOs, and you know, I think I have to make a switch where if I'm doing a frog box trade, I just have to pay attention to frog box rules and not let these RLCOs cloud my judgment. Because you can see that if you entered the frog box here, the hybrid frog which was here, you could have captured this move 2 frog box levels down, and then that was the move for most of the day. Another thing that I'm noticing is support and resistance with Frogbox. And so this is something that I had mentioned in the chat rooms. Here, American Express opens, it drops down, and then it goes up 1 Frogbox. And it builds a P1 and a RLXD north of the river with the Frogbox level +1 potentially acting as resistance. And so this is something that I like looking at, and I'm very inclined to enter a position here because of this Frogbox level. When it builds here, it acts as a resistance, and then it just goes all the way down. So that's something I'm still trying to figure out how to trade, how to capture. This is probably a quick frog trade here. I'm still trying to get used to how to trade these things. But that's just my process, and hope this helps you guys out. Thanks for listening.